that brand equity thing. Earlier we only know about whenever we talk about, we say that we are more of dealing with customers. We have the product, we have the brand equity, we have the brand loyalty. This all needs to go toward the customer thing. So the employees who are actually having this information, who are having this, building this information, they need to have, or they need to also participate in that brand equity thing. Regarding this customer's perspective, regarding this customer's perspective, whenever we say brands, it is a little ahead of the product actually. Product, we all know that it is the basic needs, the basic wants that are generated from the consumer's mind. But when we talk about the brand, it is actually your identification. Actually, you're affiliating yourself with something. So these are surely no doubt useful weapons for the companies, and these brands, they win the heart of the consumers. In order to create the strong brands, their opinion, their feedback, it is much valuable. And brand equity, it is built on those values, on those suggestions, on those feedbacks that consumers give, or the companies, they basically take from them. So finally, we can say that the tangible words of a brand, the tangible meaning of a brand, it is important for the companies. It is much of an importance for companies. But when we talk about the employees, they are those who are generating those products, who are making those products. So it also determines, the organization determines its success from those people, from those employees. It is necessary to see what actually are those factors and what are those organizational brands, what are those, we also call it internal brand. So internal brand management is an important area in marketing and management both. So one of the important stakeholders, employees, they are important for the organizations, and they are also termed as the organizational ambassadors. This concept, it was, as I told, it was presented in 2008, it was accepted in an article in 2010, and since 2010 onwards, it's been like 5 years that people are working on it. It's comparatively a new area if we talk about branding or if we talk about brand equity. So it is not much explored by earlier researchers, and the organizations, they because put much importance to their employees, they give much importance to their workers. So they also have to, or they need to be a positive attitude. They need to behave positively to make that product worthy for them. Why Chinese perspective? Although that study was in a Western, the basic study that you can say I replicated was in a Western environment. But if you talk about China, it's made in China. You'll find it everywhere. I tried yesterday. I was out for some personal shopping, and I tried to find something that was not made in China. Even the Hawaii cup, that souvenir, when I turned it down, it was made in China. When I got that cap, having written made Hawaii, it was inside there was a tag made in China. I found like made in India also, made in Bangladesh also, but that was like 1% or 3% or 5% maximum, not more than 5% products. In Walmart, not in a very common store. So we cannot deny this Chinese interest. We cannot deny the foreign direct investment in many countries. We cannot deny what the current President Xi Jinping is doing. He is roaming around all the world and making agreements, spending a lot of money. There is a well-known philosophy, Chinese philosophy that he is following. It is Chinese dream, or he is saying One Belt, One Road, the project, the main project he's working on, and he is coordinating with everyone. Basically, he wants approach towards every country, a road and a sea network. That is his plan maybe for the next 10 years plan, you can say, for China. So this country also holds great importance in this continent of Asia and all around the world. give a good body of, will increase in the body of knowledge for those people who are, whom we can say the Chinese entrepreneurs or Chinese businessmen, so that they can make themselves more worthy toward this task. The concept, so I'm trying to explain it in very simple words so that I can be as much clear as possible. Frequency of information exchanges increases in an open environment where people feel relaxed about speaking up or providing feedback. So if you have that freedom of speech thing, so you can generate more information. You can have more clear information generation concept. In the hypothetical form, the first was the openness has a significant positive effect on information generation. Second one is also about openness, and it is having an impact on knowledge dissemination. When you have information, when you have good information generation, then you can have dissemination part also working in a better way. The third is the H factor. This H factor, H means the human factor. So this human factor is about the relationship, employee-employer relationship. So it has a significant effect on openness. This is the third hypothesis that I took for this study. The fourth hypothesis was again about the human factor, that it is having a positive impact on information generation. The fifth was about knowledge dissemination. I already talked a lot about information generation and knowledge dissemination in the previous slide. So I hope this human factor and knowledge dissemination, information generation, I'm trying to clear it a little bit. Then information generation, it is also having an impact on knowledge dissemination, that you are having a good base of information, good body of information. This will play a role in knowledge dissemination for the work. The seventh hypothesis and eighth hypothesis is related to the knowledge dissemination, and we say that it leads toward role clarity, and it also leads toward brand commitment. When we talk about role clarity, it is the employee knows what his tasks, his objectives, his roles, his responsibilities are. So the knowledge dissemination is clear from the top to bottom, or the bottom to top, whatever approach we are using. If clear information is passed to the employees, then they'll be able to do their jobs, then they'll be able to work well. The eighth hypothesis is about the brand commitment. So this is more toward, you can say, employee performance thing, the successful or the better employee performance. You're having good information, good knowledge dissemination, then you are having a more better employee performance in your organization. The ninth hypothesis is about the role clarity. It is said that it is having a significant positive effect on EBBE. This EBBE is employee-based brand equity. Employee-based brand equity benefits. So based on this concept, what benefits you are getting, if you are having a clear role in front of you, then you can get more benefits out of it. The last and 10th hypothesis of this is brand commitment. It is having a significant effect on EBBE benefits, employee-based brand equity benefits. So these 10 hypotheses, they were taken in a study. This was the framework, and these relationships are shown here. Whatever I just mentioned in those 10 hypotheses, this framework was made for further consideration, further analysis. The methodology, the validated instrument. I told earlier that I am replicating this study in the Chinese perspective, so I took the same questionnaire. I did the pilot study, and before pilot study, because China is speaking Mandarin, it's speaking in Chinese we call it Putonghua. So they are using Putonghua, that is a language, that is a Mandarin. We need to make it more clear to those people, because my respondents were the small and medium enterprise owners or the senior director level members of the organization. So if we talk about the students, if we talk about the youth in China, they are more toward learning English these days. but the older generation, they are still less knowledgeable, especially about the technical language. If we say about English. So that was a huge task in terms of converting all that things and then making not to change the meanings, making not to make those wordings change. It took me around like 2 months to validate that questionnaire. It was suggested about 4 or 5 times to make changes in it, because I am also not a language expert. I am not much knowledgeable about Chinese. I can speak a little, but I cannot say that I know very well. So that was a hard task for me at least. It took me around more than 2 months. And then again, the data collection, because these are small and medium enterprise owners, and they don't spare time for you. I mean, when they don't have any interest. So an earlier email was sent to those people, a proper appointment was taken from them, and those who responded, those who said yes, we are ready to respond to this questionnaire, this research, they were contacted one by one, and the data was collected. Around, you can say 50%, nearly 50% was the response, but in the end I was left with 192 usable questionnaires. So out of this 56%, total persons I approached, or total respondents were around 600 people, and out of those 192 was the only people who were left with good data. The model fit index and significance of paths, although I had a limitation of this respondent thing, and it was hard for me to go again and connect the data. So this 192 is a little smaller for this path analysis, for this model fit index, and it was suggested that it should be 200, at least 200. So because of that 8 questionnaires, I didn't want this study to get delayed more. So I did on that 192, and all the values for this fit index, they were found fine. Only this 4th hypothesis, the human factor has an impact over knowledge dissemination. This was not accepted. This one hypothesis didn't found enough support. Else than those, all the 9 hypotheses were found correct, were found enough evidence for significance. By this research, I tried to, along with my 3 other fellows, I tried to test a roadmap for managers to build, measure, and manage employee-based brand equity in Chinese perspective. Why we call it Chinese perspective? Because they have their own way. I mean, being in China for last 4.5 years, I have seen that these people, they have everything of their own. They have language of their own, but they have everything else of their own. They also have their own digital libraries. They don't need much information. They don't need much data from those Western digital libraries. They do use it, but again, what they do is they are building their own repository also. They are also building their own digital libraries. We have that. For social scientists, we have that SSCI, Social Science Citation Index. They added C before it, Chinese Social Science Citation Index. They have their own citation index. So that is why, to consolidate all this information of internal brand management literature and to provide a comprehensive framework or system applicable to Chinese environment. So we can say that that Western concept is also in some way applicable to that Chinese legal also. It allows practitioners and academicians a greater appreciation for the internal brand management, that being communicating the brand internally, it need to be given more importance. And also requires a comprehensive network of both cognitive and affective practices to to be employees to realize the coveted benefits, and confirmed and provided enough evidence for this relatively newer perspective of brand equity. The third aspect, we can say, third aspect of brand equity. Before, earlier we only knew about financial and non-financial brand equity. Financial brand equity was the first thing, the second was non-financial benefits, and the third one now is somehow this employee-based brand equity or internal brand management. Thank you. This was all about what I did.
Thank you very much, Tahir. Our next presenter is Louis.